What is going on, Cardano Nation? Wherever you're watching this video from, welcome to the Dapp Central YouTube channel. Today, I'm joined by none other than the CEO of the VyFi protocol, which is going to be Stephen Ward, breaking down some juicy announcements that was just released surrounding their mainnet launch. Stephen, welcome on this wonderful weekend. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for having me on today, Farid.
Not a problem. Not a problem. This is actually your second time on the channel, and I'm sure that this is going to be one of many additional interviews that we're going to be having together. So for any of you guys watching this particular video, if you guys want to find out more about what VyFi is and what they're bringing to Cardano in terms of staking, their DEX, and the bar, and exactly how that works, make sure to check out that first interview, which breaks all of that process down for you guys. So in today's video, we're going to be touching on three key topics here, and the first one is probably going to be the most important, which is going to be the fact that the VyFi team has just announced their mainnet launch on May 15th. After that, I want to jump into the DEX and the bar, which we just saw released on the Testnet no more than a month ago. And then after that, I want to talk about a revolutionary feature being developed and pioneered by the VyFi team, which is going to be their stakeless liquidity pools, or the stakeless LP tokens. So, Stephen, so much has changed, since you were last on. But let's go ahead and just kind of touch on the mainnet launch. What can you share with us when it comes to that?
So we're super excited. We announced our mainnet launch for the 15th of May. That's going to be inclusive of our bar and our DEX. Now, just a little bit of a refresher for those that don't know, our bar is a distributive mechanism for our platform, where we take the fees that are generated on our DEX and we use them to buy back VyFi from the market, right? And then we distribute that VyFi to the users that have staked at our bar. Now, this system, and as you said, it's already on testnet, so you can already go play around with it. But yeah, so our DEX and bar launch is on the 15th of May. And we also announced the launch of our audit. So we completed our initial audit for the DEX and the bar, which is now available on our website. So you can, we have that as a banner on the top of our vaults. So yeah, that's available to you. That's already done. So we are super happy that that went so well. Absolutely no critical issues, no medium severity issues. Only issues they were able to find was regarding optimization with migration and with future upgrades to the contracts. So we're going to implement some of those optimizations that they found. But in terms of that, there were absolutely no issues found with the safety of funds whatsoever. We don't even need to change our code before we launch, which is something that we're super proud of.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I think we've seen quite a few audits taking place very recently, but the fact that you just mentioned that there's no high or medium severity issues, I think is the key part right there, right? Which really means that you guys have done all of the work up front in order to make sure that everything was mitigated before even engaging in the actual audit. So I'm happy to hear that. Now, do you mind kind of talking about who exactly actually performed the audit and how that process kind of went?
Yeah, sure. So we engaged a team called Obsidian Systems. Now, they've performed multiple audits on other blockchains. They're performing another audit on Cardano right now, but that's up to them to decide, and that team to decide if they want to announce who it is. And they've been working in the Cardano space now since Plutus launched. They are part of the Hydra development team, and Colin, who was our project lead, who is also we've been working with him. We started working with him the first time almost a year and a half ago, and that was through IOHK. So we were actually doing some work with IOHK at the time, and Colin was a member of their team as well. So, they're a very experienced team that have been in this space since the beginning, and we're super proud that they weren't able to find anything wrong, of course. The process was a long one. It took about 2 months in total to get this report. And yeah, we are super happy with the results, and we're glad that, as you said, right, we've spent the time putting in the work up front. We've spent a lot of effort in building out the security of these contracts, and we put a lot of effort into building out the documentation and the organization of these contracts, and that's very important as well. So massive kudos to the whole development team that was involved. It's a big one. In total, there were about 11 devs involved. So thank you so much to every single one of you guys.
And thank you guys for what you guys are bringing to Cardano. I want to also mention, you're talking about the Obsidian team, your development team, but the community also played a key role in this upcoming launch, given the fact that you basically were able to leverage the community as a part of the testnet, which launched about a month ago. So do you kind of mind touching on the testnet, how that process went, given the fact that you guys kind of started off with a closed testnet and then you guys opened it up to the general public, and exactly what kind of feedback you received from the community throughout that entire process?
So I would also like to add, we've actually added a new feature to our testnet. Our farming is now also live, so you can check out our Stakeless LP farming on our testnet right now. The process that we went through was an iterative one, I guess, right? That's why we launched initially to a private testnet, and that was to get out the initial bugs and kinks to an audience that we knew were very dedicated to the project. And that's important to ensure that we have at least a presentable product at the time we get to the testnet that's open to the public, right? Even if it's a public testnet, you still want it to be a presentable product. Then we went to the public testnet about 5 weeks ago. It was just over a month, I believe. And that launch has been incredibly successful. We've taken on board a lot of advice that the community has given, particularly in terms of how we display information and how we display statistics. Right? That was one that was with a lot of feedback. And then, of course, a couple of front-end bugs. We had a bug bounty, and there was one fellow that was able to earn the full 1,000 VyFi for finding 3 bugs. And none of them were bugs to our smart contracts. They were all front-end bugs, but a bug's a bug, and we want to get it fixed. We want it to be as smooth a process as possible for the users. Now, I mean, with that 2 months of extensive testing that we've done, we're feeling very confident with the contracts as they are. We're feeling very confident with our front end as it is. And we're feeling very comfortable that all of our processes are integrated together in a manner that's understandable and is a very friendly user flow.
Nice. It sounds like you guys have, again, really prepped for this upcoming launch. Now, on the 15th, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. We're going to have the ability to stake, which has been on the mainnet for quite a bit of time, right? You guys have the vaults currently going on with different VyFi NFTs, as well as just partnerships with other platforms within the Cardano ecosystem, which include Cornucopias, and so many others, just to name a few. Now, when we get the DEX, can you kind of touch on, because we've already got, Wing Riders, Min Swap, Sunday Swap, etc. Can you touch on what exactly makes the VyFi DEX different, and exactly what incentives there are for users to really take advantage of the bar?
So there's a few things that make the VyFi DEX different. We've already mentioned the bar, right? So as a first instance, we motivate users to provide liquidity through offering farms. Right? And rather than just giving out tokens in an unlimited manner, we have an inbuilt buyback mechanism that uses the fees that are generated from the DEX to buy VyFi back from the market to provide sustained price action. Right? Now, we also have the first ever use of stakeless LP farming, which is something that LP token farming, which is something that we've already touched on. But essentially, once a user supplies liquidity to one of our liquidity pools, they don't need to do anything with the LP token that reaches their wallet. That LP token instantly begins farming, right? So they just have to go to our homepage, and there's the farming dashboard on our homepage, and you can pull this up on our testnet right now if you have the testnet, and you'll be able to track your farming from that farming homepage, right? Now, we've also got I also want to discuss a little bit about what this stakeless LP farming actually means, right? Because there's a lot of important things that come out of this. Firstly, LP tokens are generally dead value. And what I mean by dead value is that they go into a farm and then they sit there to earn you whatever token the DEX is offering, right? You can't use the LP for any other function other than that farm. Now that we have stakeless LP farming, we're actually able to adapt it so that we can create more functions for those LP tokens, right? Because those LP tokens aren't just a dead token that gets locked into a farm. Those tokens are actually available asset value in your wallet, right? So the first thing that we're launching with is what we're calling layer 2 liquidity pools, or L2LP for short. And that essentially means that you can take your liquidity pool tokens, and with those liquidity pool tokens, you can match them with Cardano, and you're going to be able to add them to a layer 2 liquidity pool, which is a liquidity pool that's made up of liquidity pool tokens plus Cardano, right? Now, let's look at this and what this does from two perspectives, right? From the perspective of a new user, we've created a new front-end market for liquidity pool tokens. Because there's a layer 2 liquidity pool, someone can go to our trade screen, select liquidity pool, what token do they want to buy the liquidity pool token for, and then they can directly purchase that liquidity pool token off the market. And because we've got non-custodial LP farming or stakeless LP farming, that means that for a user to engage with liquidity now, all they have to do is come to a swap, select what they want, what LP they want to purchase, put in the amount of ADA they want to purchase, press swap, the LP arrives in their wallet, and they're instantly farming. They can go to our homepage and instantly begin farm. Right?
That is impressive.
That user flow is something that doesn't exist in crypto right now. And it's going to be the most simple user flow that's ever been created to allow users to begin engaging with liquidity and with farming on any DEX, right? Now, from the back-end perspective, and that's from the trader side, let's say you're a more advanced user now, right? You provided liquidity to, let's say, Cardano VyFi. You're farming Cardano VyFi. But we offer you a boosted farm to essentially match that LP token with ADA and add it to a layer 2 LP. Because we offer you that boosted farm and you add in that layer 2 LP, you're now creating or market making that front-end market for people to buy it. But you as the back-end trader are earning more farm, and you've also built a hedging structure against your impermanent risk in your initial layer 1 LP. So the layer 1 LP is made up of 50% VyFi and 50% Cardano. Right. If I match that with Cardano, my portfolio structure is now 25% VyFi, and 75% Cardano. So my effective VyFi risk has dropped by 50%, whilst I've also boosted my farm and created a front-end market where users are now able to buy LP tokens directly.
That is something, Stephen. That is something. And the fact that you guys are able to bring this forward, I think, is what has the community excited about VyFi. Again, really taking DEX features and functionality to the next level with this L2 token staking, or LP token staking. Now, with that, I want to touch on two other things related to the DEX. Number one is going to be bootstrapping, and then number two is going to be supported tokens. Do you kind of mind touching on how you guys are planning to get that initial bit of liquidity to get the platform going, and then what tokens we can expect to be supported from day one on the VyFi DEX?
So bootstrapping liquidity is always, for our DEX initially, is one of the big things that we're focused on right now. Our principal methodology for being able to do this, because we're a community-driven project, right? We don't have VC funding, is to provide essentially the most interesting farms and one of the most wide varying set of farms that they're available on the market. Now, we've been in this business for a long time, so we're working with a lot of projects. So we're going to be launching with a lot of dual farming, right? So that means the capacity to earn VyFi as well as other projects' tokens for providing liquidity. And we've also implemented liquidity gates. And let me explain what I mean by that. We are actually locking our farm until we reach certain amounts of liquidity on our platform to assist with our tokens price, right? 5 million Cardano and under, we do 30% of our total farm. Between 5 and 10 million is 60%. Between 10 and 15 million Cardano locked on our platform is 90%, and 15 million plus Cardano locked in our platform is where we offer 100% of our farm. So we're also offering those gates to unlock more farm so that users are motivated to engage more to unlock those gates where those farming levels increase. That being said, 15 million Cardano is not a very large amount. So we are actually hoping to meet that in the 2 weeks between when we launch on the mainnet and on the 29th of May, which is when our farms launch. Another very big thing in terms of farms that we're offering, I've got a very full list, but we've released it on a Medium article where we go through. The farms that we're launching are based on a mixture of liquidity, transaction volume, and also projects that have worked with us in the past, right? So of course, WMT, Liquid, Meld. If you look at the top 15, 20 projects in volume on TapTools, you can assume that we're going to have a farm for it, I guess is the best way to say it, right? And then we're also working with a few smaller projects to help support them garner some liquidity in the initial instances. And that's through the mechanic of our LP vaults, which we already have live, all right? So we can assist projects with setting up LP vaults for any DEX that they want to help them garner liquidity on different DEXs. Now, I honestly reckon and that's a very colloquial way of saying it, I honestly believe one of the biggest things is innovation in Cardano, right? We are a community that loves innovation. And as a project and as a DEX, we've been able to very uniquely implement Cardano technology to build a better, more technically advanced DEX that allows for an easier process for new users and a more advanced tooling set for experienced users. And I think that the power of what we're offering is in our technology. And the way that we need to focus on garnering more liquidity is by ensuring that we are getting our technology and showing the power of what it is that we have built to as many people as possible, because the product speaks for itself.
I couldn't agree with you more. And on that front, I think when people really get to interact with the stakeless LPs and start to see those rewards dropping into their wallets while also still holding the LP tokens, I think the light bulb is going to go off in their head as to why isn't every other DEX doing this? And again, I think you guys are really kind of getting, the ecosystem ready for what I believe will be the future of liquidity providing and liquidity token farming, right? And again, kind of touching on the L2 token farming that you just mentioned, where you're taking all of the tokens that you would normally be locking up, but putting that in a brand new kind of liquidity pool solely for LP tokens, again, is something that I'm thinking to myself, why wasn't this done earlier?
Can I share another example of where this has got incredible utility?
Go right for it, man.
Let's look at a lending platform, right? Lending platforms are always a little bit reticent, as they should be, in accepting collateral in the form of native tokens, right? You generally want to do collateral in the form of your token because it's your platform, so you have to, and in the form of the token of the blockchain, in our case, Cardano, right? But now that we've got liquidity pool tokens that are available in your wallet, these liquidity pools actually represent a pool which is 50% value Cardano and 50% value of a Cardano native token, right? Not only that, but these liquidity pool tokens are built so that they receive non-custodial farming. So what happens if we can build a system where you can provide collateral in those LP tokens? The collateral provider has reduced risk because the portfolio that the collateral is being provided in is 50% Cardano and 50% native token. And the farm that's being earned can be used to help pay the interest of the underlying loan.
That is something there, Stephen, to where potentially the principal amount that the borrower would have to pay would be tackled by the rewards being earned by their LP token. I really like that idea.
Think of the way that you can get now liquidity boosting on the blockchain using this, right? I supply liquidity to an LP token, let's say $20,000 worth. I use that to get a $10,000 loan, which let's say that 90% of my farm is going to the interest there. So now I'm only getting 10% of my farm, right? But now I've got 10,000 data that I can go take, put that down on another farm, and now I can do riskier, higher paying farms with this 10,000 data because I'm essentially already got my collateral being taken care of by doing a lower risk farm and providing it as from a lower risk farm, right? So my collateralization risk has gone down. I've been able to boost my liquidity. And now we're able to actually put that liquidity back into the ecosystem to help boost the entirety of the Cardano blockchain.
Yeah, this is, I think, going to be revolutionary. Now, I do have to say, right, for somebody like you who works in this space, you're very, very quick to explain this. But I think the general user who might be watching this kind of video might be like scratching their head as to, okay, I understand, but there's pieces I still don't understand. So what are you guys doing in terms of educating people as to how to take advantage of these different strategies and techniques that you're talking about now? Again, because it's going to be brand new. So a lot of people may not even have these thoughts. For example, what you just mentioned there with DeFi and almost kind of like it's funny, Mel calls it a genius loan, which is a loan where some of the principal amount is getting paid down by some of the yield that you're generating with your collateral, right? Which in this case, it sounds very similar, but again, you're using your LP token farming rewards in order to pay back that principal on the amount that you're borrowing, right? So how are you guys planning on simplifying this enough to be able to let the common person within Cardano, who's only used to the current DEX platforms, digest everything that they can now do using this new feature?
Brand new users, you have to take constructively, step by step, right? And the advantage to our DEX is that it is a much more constructive process to have users engage. You supply liquidity, you receive an LP token, you begin farming, and now you can think of that LP token as a token, right? That token has a dollar value just like any other token, and that dollar value is made up of 50% as whatever you supplied the liquidity in, and 50% of whatever the other token you supplied the liquidity in, right? That is now just another token in your wallet. For users that are already habituated to our current systems, right, and are already used to Cardano as it works, once you've got that LP token in your wallet and you just think about it as another token, have at. Now it's just another token in your wallet. go supply. Like, we still need to build out these systems with our partners, right? So don't expect, for example, collateral provision to be live when we launch. We are going to have 3 L2LP tokens available upon launch, and our target is to have our LPs function as collateral by the end of Q3, right? So there's still work to be done, but it's all very doable work, and we're very excited to get it done because all of this really brings up the blockchain in a manner that should be very intuitive for users that are already using our blockchain, right? Because just think of the LP as another token, and there you go. It's the exact same as just another token.
Right, right. So could you, because you just mentioned the fact that you're not going to have everything up and running in terms of the L2 LP farming at the very beginning, which is understandable. Again, this is
the L2 LP farming we will have up and running at the beginning.
Oh, right. So, but you said not all the farms though. So which farms do you guys?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're launching with 3 L2 LP farms. We're going to be launching with the VyFi ADA L2 LP, of course. We're going to be launching with the WMT ADA L2 LP. And we're going to be launching with the AADA ADA L2 LP.
Nice.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, nice. I think those are all 3 valid projects. Obviously, VyFi, you guys are bringing this on. It only makes sense. World Mobile, aiming to connect the unconnected. Solid project here within Cardano, building on extremely solid tech. And then AADA really kind of recently catching fire, right? In, I think, almost doing like an 8 or 9x in terms of TVL. They've just broken above $8 million. And they were one of the first DeFi protocols here when it comes to lending and borrowing, building on Cardano. So really solid choices there, which I'm excited to hear about.
And also, if you think about the platform AADA that already allows very easy collateral lending in AADA, if we've got the AADA L2LP, that is a much easier calculation.
Right. No, I agree with that. Now, one thing I want to touch on, and this is going to be something that I think people will have questions about. But right now, for example, on DEXs like MinSwap, you have the ability to provide liquidity. You start to earn rewards, whether that's, Min tokens, ADA, or whatever other token pair that you're providing the liquidity for. But that is paid out in real time, you can obviously check your rewards and you can come and harvest that at any time.
Mhm.
How are you guys planning to execute the rewards claiming process
Mhm.
as a part of the DEX and the L2 LP
Mhm.
platform?
Mhm. L2LP and L1LP will work the exact same way. So if you're holding an L2LP token in your wallet, that'll just be earning farm just the exact same way as an L1LP token would be. All right. The way that we work though is we do have a daily timer. A daily timer. Sorry, that's the wrong way. We have an epoch system, but instead of having 5-day epochs, we've got 1-day epochs. So they're 24-hour epochs. So you put your farm in on the first epoch. On the second epoch, it moves your expected rewards move to pending rewards. And then on the third epoch, your pending rewards move to available rewards. And then every 24 hours thereafter, you'll have the pending rewards moving to your available rewards. So every 24 hours, that'll refresh and allow you to farm what you've earned on the last 24 hours.
Perfect. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. I think that makes sense. And I was curious as to how you guys would be doing that, whether like mentioned it was going to be daily, hourly, something that happens every 5 epochs, etc. But that is a clear and concise explanation. Now, another cool thing.
It's daily. So we basically, it's a very similar to how the Wing Riders payout works, but rather than being 5 days, it's 24 hours.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I like it. Now, do you guys also have plans to potentially take the ADA that is being provided as a part of that 50-50, again, when you're providing liquidity, to maybe stake that and also offer another revenue stream for some of the members providing liquidity on your platform, similar to what we see with MinSwap and the Wing Riders DEX?
Yeah, absolutely. So that will work on, we've got a competing interest on our DEX, right? We also have our bar. So we've got our bar that we also want to be providing rewards to. And if we were staking all of those tokens and we weren't sending any to our bar, I feel like that would be a very remiss opportunity to be providing the support that I want to design into building sustainable DEXs, right? Because the entire idea is that we want to be able to provide consistent rewards to liquidity providers. And part of that is building a consistent token value, right? So we need to have a vote within our community of what the distribution of those staking rewards would be between the bar and between the actual liquidity providers themselves. And the capacity to stake on our smart contracts will be about a month or two away from the actual launch of our DEX. So it's not going to be something that's immediately available, unfortunately.
And that is fair. I think you guys are going to have a lot of moving pieces here at the
Yes.
beginning of the launch. As things settle and as the dust clears, you guys can kind of start to really hone in on different features and different enhancements that you guys want to implement, which I think one of them being the staking that we're talking about here now. So
Absolutely.
that is a very fair point. Now, I am getting to the point where I want to touch on something else that you guys are bringing to the system that we've also seen elsewhere. But again, you guys are kind of bringing it to people's remembrance. So that's going to be the Zap-In feature.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind explaining how the Zap-In works and exactly how it saves people time if they maybe don't have both of the token pairs that they're trying to provide as liquidity from the jump?
And it also saves, and it's also very good for new users as well. So this is a feature that was pioneered. I do want to give credit where credit is due, and I'm not about to give credit where you expect me to give credit. This is a feature that was pioneered by BeefySwap. And BeefySwap had the original implementation of the Zap feature, and that was then on Cardano implemented by MinSwap when they launched their DEX. So we didn't invent this feature, but it allows users to supply liquidity using only one token, right? So I could go to any liquidity pool, select just Cardano, select any liquidity pool, and zap in my liquidity. And essentially what that does is it takes the tokens that you're putting into liquidity, automatically sells half of them for the other token for you, then deposits both tokens into liquidity on your behalf, and then sends you back the liquidity pool token, right? Now, where this integrates really nicely into our ecosystem is for new users that aren't very used to dealing with providing liquidity in the first place. This essentially gives a third option for new users to begin farm with only a single token, right? You can come to our liquidity. You can either buy it directly off of L2LP on our swap, But if you want to actually try and put in liquidity yourself, you can come to our market, select one token, zap the liquidity in, and then as soon as the LP arrives in your wallet, you're instantly farming. So you've been able to take one token, commit one transaction, and you've already started farming.
Perfect explanation there. Again, I think for new users, it's the way to go. The first time I heard of this was through MinSwap, but I really like the fact that you mentioned Beefy Swap there as well. So that was new information to me there. Now, I have another question
I've
here.
been in this ecosystem for a while.
No, it definitely shows. It definitely shows again with your expertise when it comes to LP tokens and these different techniques. It really shows your experience. I've got a question here now that you've touched on the Zap-In feature. Let's say that I'm coming in and I'm not providing liquidity. I'm jumping straight over to the L2 LP and I purchase LP tokens directly from a L2 LP pool.
Mm-hmm.
Can I then take those LP tokens and actually cash them back out for the two original tokens that are being represented as a part of that LP token?
Absolutely, you can. And that is something that we're very excited about for experienced traders as well, is we've created two brand new arbitrage flows for traders to take advantage of. The one that you just described, right? We've got the layer 2 LP market, which is being priced based on the ratio of ADA and the layer 1 LP token that's in the pool. And then we've got the pricing of those LP tokens that you get if you were to burn that LP token and then sell both of the containing tokens on the market, right? Which you don't really sell both because you'd get half of it as ADA and you'd sell the other one as ADA, right? So it's not really selling both, you're selling one. But if we imagine it conceptually, it's you take them both out and now you sell them both and I have a dollar value and I buy it from the market at a dollar value.
Mm-hmm.
If that dollar value changes and they don't meet each other, all of a sudden I could have a motivation to come to the market to buy the LP token, burn the LP token to withdraw the contents, sell one of those tokens, and I've got more ADA than what I started with when I bought the LP token. Or in reverse, if the LP token is cheap there, or sorry, expensive in the market, you go the other way. I take the two contents of the LP token, I put them into the liquidity pool to mint the LP. I then take that LP and sell it on the market, and the amount that I get back from selling it on the market is more than what I had to put in to mint the LP.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're two new arbitrage flows that show themselves as a result of having these LP markets. It's an arbitrage between the market and the minting and burning of the LP. And that is something that we're very fun to start seeing traders take advantage of, because at the end of the day, it means that we're going to have more flows in and out of liquidity just based on the actual structure of our market. The structure of our market incentivizes flows of in and out of our liquidity pools, right? And that in itself means that now there is a trading incentive to be providing that liquidity outside of just liquidity, right? I can provide liquidity for the purposes of engaging in arbitrage. So we've created a whole new reason for traders to come in and engage with our liquidity pools.
Yeah, again, it's not a simple concept to understand, but once you do understand it, the opportunities I think are endless. So what I'm definitely going to be looking forward to here, and I'm actually looking at some of your Medium articles here, which break down the L2 LP. Again, for those of you who are tuning in, it stands for Layer 2 Liquidity Pool Farming, which is going to be a brand new concept that the VyFi team is bringing forward. I need to spend more time educating myself as to how to take advantage of all of these new features, the Zap-In feature, which you mentioned, it's already been here for quite a bit of time, but these brand new arbitrage opportunities and this brand new ecosystem and marketplace when it comes to liquidity pools for liquidity pool tokens, right? A little bit of inception there. So again, I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be bringing. Now, I've got a lighthearted question for you guys.
Please.
Surrounding the meme coin pumps that we've seen very recently. So when Snake and when Pepe Blue?
Can I give a not very lighthearted response?
Go for it.
Sorry. I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few days, particularly within the context of the macroeconomic environment that we find ourselves, right? Sorry, I'm a trader. I'll just go straight into macroeconomics. Sorry. We are currently in a situation where we're seeing housing prices drop cost of loans and mortgages increase, the job market shrink. They're kind of our three major pressures on the economy right now. Most of those pressures combined lead to deflation, right? Because you're going to have less people with money to spend. You're going to have the value of houses going down, which is generally the most expensive asset that a person owns. So net values are going down. People are more reticent to spend their money when your net value is going down. As a result, velocity in the economy reduces, and that has a downward impact on the inflation of our economy. Okay, so that's the point that I want to start. I think that we are approaching a point where our inflationary figures are going to start slowing down and reversing, right? So one thing that we're seeing is a positive response in crypto to the expectation that these reduction in inflation is going to improve our market in the future, right? So we're currently trading on the expectation that this inflationary decrease is going to start occurring, right? But what underlays this, and this is what worries me a bit about this meme coin pump, is that for the average person, what is resulting in that reduced inflationary pressure is that the average person has got less money to spend. They are in a worse off financial situation, right? So if we combine the circumstances where we've got your classic market signals telling you that Bitcoin is probably going to start going up because inflation and interest rates are coming under control, and we've got a situation where there are more and more people who are expecting less and less income into the near future, all of a sudden the game theory for individuals has changed, right? Whereas in the past, I was dumping money into a market because it felt as if, oh, I might be able to make money here, let's gamble, right? Now the game theory is I am less certain about my economic future, so it makes sense to try and pump 100x on a meme coin, right? So because we've got this incongruity between our inflationary position and what that technically should mean on our market and the actual fiscal position of the majority of people within developed nations at the moment, that incongruity is creating a circumstance where the average person is more willing to throw down to try and make a quick 10 to 50x. Right? The way that I think of it is, what is there to lose if I've got nothing to lose?
Yeah,
right?
wow. That is a great. Go ahead.
So I'm not sure if this recent speculative pressure that we've seen in meme coins is necessarily evidence of a fundamental shift in the strength of the underlying cryptocurrency market, right? The cryptocurrency market is going to be buoyed by those inflationary and interest rate pressures that we're experiencing. But as for the average user engagement and as for the actual amount of money that's coming into it from the public, I don't know if this meme coin is necessarily a strong sign. I actually think it could be a weak sign rather than a strong sign for general engagement of the public. So sorry for taking it so not lighthearted.
No, that is completely okay. And that was a great logical analysis. People have been asking me on my channel here to create some videos covering that. And I think you just did that job here for me. So I'm happy to hear your take on it. And to me, what it sounds like you're saying is that this might actually be more of a desperation move as opposed to fresh liquidity coming in, really kind of showing that the space is growing. You know, it's all happening in-house. It's not like there's new fresh liquidity coming in. It's people kind of going out on a whim here and hoping that they could potentially make a quick buck with something. That's like, exactly, you know, these meme coins. Now, what's crazy is just like with regular Pepe, that has officially gone over $1 billion of a market cap in less than 30 days. It's also got a listing on Binance and KuCoin. So the thing is the hype is real. And what's even crazier is to think that platforms like Binance are listing a token like this in the fastest times that we've ever seen them ever list any kind of token. So I didn't mean to, you know, to derail us there. I wanted to really just kind of touch on that. But I think it's a valid topic to touch on, you know, especially if you guys are going to be a DEX, because I'm sure that you guys will get that question sooner or later. You know, will VyFi support some of these tokens here that have been gaining a lot of traction within the Cardano community?
At the end of the day, you know, we're a decentralized exchange, right? It's not my job to be a It's not our job to be a gatekeeper between users and tokens, right? It's our job to provide a platform where tokens are able to provide liquidity and users are able to engage if they so choose. No DEX, as it stands under current regulation, is responsible for rug pulls being launched on their site because they're currently factory contracts, and it's up to the rug pull itself when they launch it to ensure that they're following the regulations of their token, not us. Will that regulation remain that way? Almost certainly not, right? But that's where the regulation is and where it currently stands. And I do agree with it conceptually, right? Like, it's decentralized. The whole concept of decentralization is we don't say yes or no to you. You as the user are allowed to make that decision, right? There are risks involved in that, of course, but that's what we are trying to build in blockchain with, you know? We are going to have verified tokens, just like MinSwap and Wing Riders and Muesli do, right? Because we do want to assist our users in avoiding scams, of course. You know, and we would always suggest only trade verified tokens and ensure that if you are engaging with a token that isn't verified, you've done as much research as you possibly can and you're fully aware of the risks. But yeah, to answer your questions, no, we're not gatekeepers.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that you guys will be seeing some snake and Pepe Blue pools popping up here and there over the
No
course
doubt.
of the first weeks of your launch. And again, we welcome that in this space, right? Again, I think that's the mantra of the space, being decentralized and allowing for the community to really kind of guide some of these platforms. Now, in closing, I want to touch on just that, the community driving governance. So when it comes to VyFi, what are your guys' plans when it comes to governance and the future development of the platform and how the community can kind of sway the path that you guys are going to be taking in the future?
Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of plans about governance. First and foremost, like most immediately, we're going to be launching with community farms and boosted community farms. So every month, the community is going to be able to vote from a range of projects that they propose. These range of projects that they propose, the top three, the three that get the most votes, are going to be given a farm for 1 month. And then at the beginning of the next month, there's the vote held again. This repeats, a farm can be voted in as a community farm 3 times in a row. And after they get voted in 3 times in a row as a community farm, we hold a vote to see if they want to be upgraded to be a proper main farm on our DEX. So we've essentially got a promotion system to get farms from new all the way through to being promoted on our DEX based on user engagement, right? We're implementing a boost as well, where every month we select 10 random liquidity pools on our DEX through a random number generator. 3 of them get voted on and they get given a boost in their farming. So that's another way that we're going to engage the community in offering boosted farms across different products every month on a rotating basis based on what the community wants. We are currently designing our proposal system so that the community is able to build proposals, have our community discuss those proposals, and the ones that are the most popular can be pushed forwards through to our governance. We expect to have that proposal system up and running sort of in Q3. As you said sort of earlier, there's a lot of intricacies that we want to add to our DEX, and we're going to be able to add them, after our DEX is launched, so we can start adding them piece by piece. But we very, very much want, I don't know all the proposals that the community may want, right? We need a proposal system that allows the community to have those discussions with each other and allows them to determine between each other what we should be voting on. So that's the next step for our governance, is to build that proposal system.
I'm happy to hear about that you guys have already kind of thought about that process, and you guys are almost kind of gamifying the boosted farming features again to make sure that everybody is involved, and to also make sure that it's a process where you don't know who's going to get some of those advantages, right? Again, so pretty cool feature there. I'm excited for what you guys are doing. I think that's going to take me through all of my questions here, Steven. So I want to turn it back over to you. Is there anything else that you may want to, bring to the community's attention when it comes to VyFi, their mainnet launch, their stakeless LPs, the DEX, or the bar?
Look, I think one little bit, and I don't want to get too complex again, right? We've also created a really interesting arbitrage between the bar and our liquidity pools as well. So that's another fun arbitrage to look out for if you're a trader and you're interested in arbitrage. But in general, if you have any questions, don't hesitate swinging by any of our socials and asking. We've got a lot of documentation. We've got a white paper at vyfi.io. We've got our Bitbooks that goes through all of our products one by one. We've got our Medium, which has got tens of articles describing these systems and how they work and going through them step by step, so you can try and get a clearer understanding with images as well. So you can also sort of place it in a mental picture, right? One of the big things I just want to reiterate is that we've got some of the most complex systems in a DEX, but the reason we have these complex systems is to make it as easy as possible for the user to engage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whilst a lot of what I'm talking about might sound complex and difficult, because what it is, let's be honest, what we're doing, the reason we're building it that way is so that a new user is able to engage, perform the minimum level of transactions needed, and have the minimum level of understanding needed of what is liquidity and what is liquidity farming. That should be the only 2 points you need for our DEX to be able to engage. Right? Oh, and how to do a swap. Right? So we're essentially using this complexity on the back end to reduce the intellectual load for new users on the front end.
Which is exactly what we need for future adoption and growth. So I think you guys are doing an amazing job. Again, Steven, I want to thank you, number one, for all of the alpha and all of the knowledge here surrounding all these different strategies and tactics that we can take advantage of when it comes to the VyFi DEX and the VyFi L2LP coming online here very soon. So you guys heard it directly from Steven himself. I'm going to be leaving the links to all of the VyFi socials down in the description below, as well as the articles surrounding their mainnet launch, which will be taking place here on May 15th. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on you guys, Steven. As I mentioned before, this is probably going to be one of the few interviews that we're going to be having over the course of the next few months. And I look forward to having you back here on the channel. If you guys made it this far into this video and you guys appreciate this type of content, please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by this YouTube channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And very lastly, if you guys have any questions for me or for Steven surrounding VyFi, then make sure to leave those down in the comment section below. That said, and as always, we'll catch you guys in the next video.